Hello folks, this is Sullla once again. You're listening to another video for League of Legends, this one featuring Shyvana. This is taken from one of our Tuesday YouTube night custom games. In this game, I am playing as Morgana. Alongside me is Speaker playing as Warwick, your Gravedigger playing as Karthus, Zombie Brine playing as Shyvana, and Ambi501 playing as Taric. And this replay is from Zombie Brine's point of view, so we'll be focusing on Shyvana and a little bit on Shyvana jungle. Then on the other team, we have Winddragon playing as Veigar, Demigods playing as Dr. Mundo, ZXWCD playing as Vlad, Aponcat playing as Yorick, and Verisnox playing as Twitch. So these lanes are going to look a little bit strange. Let me just explain what was going on in the setup for this game. While we were picking roles, we had everybody grab a different role except for your Gravedigger, our Karthus player, and he, for whatever reason, when the clock was ticking down, we thought that he was going to play AD because he had said that he wanted to play in bottom lane, and we already had Ambi501 playing as Taric. But for whatever reason, he was unable to select a champion, and he actually randomed Karthus as a champion here. So that's why we have sort of the bizarre laning matchups here. And we were like, well, do we play this game? Do we remake this game? That's what I'm typing here with the chat to all. And ultimately, we decided that we would just go ahead and play this game rather than trying to remake it. But that's why we have this Karthus in bottom lane, this sort of bizarre Karthus-Taric pairing. It actually could work out if we had Soraka as a support instead of Taric. So decided, yeah, he said he wanted to pick Corki, but that it wouldn't let him. So in any case, we ended up deciding to play this out because there wasn't enough sentiment in favor of remaking this game. So we actually we'll get back to that bottom lane matchup in a minute because it's a little bit strange, but ultimately we did decide to go ahead with this. Anyway, I'm going to be playing as Morgana in middle lane, so I'll be talking a little bit about my matchup. I'm going to be up against Winddragon playing as Veigar, but this video is going to be focused from Zombie Brine's point of view because I do not play as Shyvana. I tried to play her one time and it didn't go very well, so I'm going to use this video to talk a little bit about Shyvana as a character, about her jungling, and just sort of go through and explain a little bit about how to play her. She's almost always played as a jungler, occasionally as a top laner, but most frequently as a jungler. Now, Shyvana's biggest strength is her movement speed. She is very fast as a champion. She can cover the map extremely well. So she's not really that good at sort of ganking enemy champions because she doesn't have a lot of crowd control. She has very little crowd control. But her mobility is what makes her a great champ, and she's of course was popularized by Moscow 5 at IEM Kiev, has been very popular. So we'll go through and explain. Now, what really makes Shyvana as a champion is her W skill, her burnout. You can see that Zombie Brine has chosen to scale this first. I'll just highlight the skill here for you. Deals magic damage to nearby enemies and grants a movement speed buff for 3 seconds. And the movement speed buff is reduced over time. So you can see the movement speed buff goes up to a little over 400 movement speed, and that's without boots. So this is what really, again, makes Shyvana. It allows her to run all over the map. This is the skill you max first when you're jungling with her. There comes in the smite. It's a little early, but that's going to be no problem because the other team is not counter jungling here. So again, what makes Shyvana as a champion is she runs around all over the map. She clears the jungle very quickly when you max this skill, and it allows her to run around, steal camps from the enemy team, and be really effective as a jungler. Now, in bottom lane, Verisnox is going to be playing here as Twitch. He is playing alongside Aponcat, so this is a support Yorick. Note the itemization choices here, the Fairy Charm and the Mana Potion, and they actually claimed First Blood immediately in this game, and I'm afraid I didn't see quite how that happened, and it wasn't picked up on the replay. Anyway, in top lane, we have Speaker playing as Warwick, laning as Warwick against ZXWCD, playing as Vlad, and then I am against Winddragon here in mid. Now, Zombie Brine was pinging and letting me know he wanted me to give me this blue. That's a little bit unusual. Usually, even a monolith jungler like Shyvana will give the first blue to, will take the first blue buff just for the experience, really, more than anything else. But Zombie Brine indicated he wanted me to take it, and so I was like, okay, well, sure. I mean, I'll take this. But the downside is it's going to set his jungling back quite a bit because he would have been level 3 off of that instead if he had taken solo experience. I would say that it probably would have been more useful to give him the first blue buff. But in any case, that's what he wanted to do, so, no big deal. We can go with it. Said he didn't want Mundo taking his stuff right there. Anyway, going to get 3 off of this Wraith Camp and put a second point. Or no, actually, he's put 1 point in each skill. That's a little bit unusual. I'd assume that you would put 3 points in Burnout instead of that extra point down in the E skill for Shyvana. So anyway, I'll try to cover her other skills here. Again, Burnout, her W is her main skill. Q, her Twin Bite, is the skill that people usually max second. Shyvana strikes twice on her next attack, deals physical damage, and it scales off of AD. So again, the best thing about that is it resets your auto attack. So you can auto attack and then immediately hit Q, and it will reset the auto attack timer. So that's usually why you want to max that second. So you turn on your burnout, auto attack, Q, auto attack, and you can get in an extra attack that deals extra damage. Meanwhile, I was able to put that blue buff to good use. I was able to score a kill on their Veigar player in mid, and their Veigar player was not level 30. I believe he was around level 25. So you can see the lack of flash on Veigar meant that it was relatively easy for me to play aggressively. That and Morgana is also a pretty strong counter to Veigar. Again, I can talk more about that, but Morgana counters Veigar quite well just because of the way that she can turn on her black shield and walk right through Veigar's stun. Anyway, Taric max heal, you're going to need it. So anyway, yes, that bottom lane is already in a little bit of trouble. Now, so Zombie Brain is just back clearing here. I will cover the other skills. Flame Breath is the E skill. This is usually a 1-point skill on Shyvana. Unleashes a fireball that deals magic damage and reduces armor for 4 seconds. So this is her only ranged skill. All of her other skills are melee. So here, I highlight it. You can see the range on it, but it just doesn't deal that much damage, generally speaking. And it's useful for the armor buff, but generally most people consider the W and the Q to be more valuable overall. And then also her ultimate, Dragon's Descent, turns Shyvana into a dragon, takes flight to a target location. Enemies along the path take magic damage and are knocked back. And there is a passive that gives you base armor and magic resist that goes up with each point in the skill. So Shyvana, again, like I said, doesn't have much crowd control really. It's just her leap when she uses her ultimate. She can jump towards someone. She does work off of a Fury system, so she's cooldown based. She is not mana based, obviously, here as a monolith champ. And let's see, Zombie Brian is picking up. He's picked up Boots of Speed, and I'm assuming he's building towards Wriggles here, would be my guess. I assume that he's just waiting for the longsword in order to pick up and build towards Wriggles. No, he went for another cloth armor. That's kind of interesting. Anyway, he started a cloth 5 pots, which is perfectly viable on Shyvana. Generally speaking, though, at the highest levels of play, people usually go boots 3 pots on Shyvana because they want that movement speed early and they want to use it for counter jungling. If you have boots, you can run from camp to camp faster, and that allows you to clear faster. It's a little bit less safe. Because you don't have the extra armor, but I would suggest starting boots and 3 pots on Shyvana. Would suggest that that's a more useful way to go on her as a champion, just because Shyvana is all about movement speed and getting from camp to camp. I do believe that Zombie Brian is rushing a Wriggles, if I remember correctly. Anyway, Taric taking a lot of damage there. He looked like we got the poison from Twitch coming out, and then there's claiming the kill with an expunge. So far, their bottom lane is well ahead. Let's check the scoreboard right here. They're pinging that I'm about to get ganked, so I'm going to move back. Nice call there. 35 minion kills for Twitch, up to 36, and Karthus is on 14. So yes, they are way, way, way ahead down here in bottom lane. And that makes sense because they have this sort of weird matchup right there. And Yorick as a support just is going to ghoul spam constantly. Meanwhile, in mid, I'm doing quite well in mid. I'm on 46 minion kills. Wind Dragon is on 27. So again, like I said, a little bit more experience just as a player here, and also have a bit of an advantage in the matchup as well. So I'm in pretty good shape here in middle lane. Up in top lane, Speaker's on 39 minion kills, and he's against Vlad, who's on 26. So Speaker is also ahead in the matchup. Right there, I'm going to hit a binding on Wind Dragon under the tower, and at this point, I know you guys can't see the health bars, but at this point, I was like, okay, if I hit one more binding, that's going to be a kill on Wind Dragon, because he was, yeah, see, now you can see the health coming in. He's quite low. So I'm just trying to see if I can catch him in a binding right now. If I do, then it's going to be another kill there on mid, so we'll try to keep an eye on that. Anyway, down here though, we spot Demigods has come in, counter jungling. We catch him at our red buff, trying to take it. Zombie Brian is on chasing. He has his burnout running. There's a flash, and he's going to get the kill with auto attack. So doing a nice job of punishing for that jungle invasion. A little bit lucky. We didn't have the jungle entrances warded, so it was a little bit lucky. Oh, and watch this. Wind Dragon's recalling, but he's not paying attention. There is a binding. There's a pool. There's the ignite. And that's going to be my second kill in lane. So that was just taking advantage of someone not paying attention when they're recalling back to base. I know there's no health bars there, but he was below half health, and that meant that a binding, a pool, and an ignite would be enough to finish it off. So anyway, we were able to score some successes there. We were able to take out Mundo as he tried to counter jungle, and then I was able to score another kill in middle lane. So far, we're ahead in top, we're ahead in mid, and our bottom lane is pretty far behind, but they're doing the best with sort of this really bizarre and unusual matchup. Now here, had a little bit of trouble getting that blue buff. Fortunately, Zombie Brian didn't take it by accident. That was me. I should have held on to my Dark Binding a little bit longer there, I think, in order to take that blue. Anyway, so again, if I highlight the skills here, notice the 3 points in Burnout. Again, you max out Burnout first as Shyvana. Again, you do get, it does give you extra movement speed as well. So notice how his movement speed goes up to almost 500 right when he pops that skill. Anyway, I was coming down here to try to gank. I was trying to go through the Tri-Brush, and I asked, was it warded? And they said it was, in fact, warded. So what I'm trying to look to do right now is, because I'm way ahead mid, and because I have Morgana in this matchup here, what that means is I can push the tower very aggressively using my Dark Pool, using my Tormented Soil. You know, if I do this, it's going to hit all the creeps. It's going to, you know, kill the wave very quickly. Whereas Veigar's damage is mostly single target. He does have his Dark Matter that can hit multiple targets, but his damage is mostly single target. He can't push nearly as hard as Morgana can. So what I'm going to look to do is going to look to push the tower and then gank other lanes, which is of course pretty standard for mids, but it's just, this is a matchup where that favors me. So like right now I'm going to push the tower and then I'm going to head off, and I was like, Speaker, let's go up here. I think we can kill this Vlad if we head up to the top. Zombie Brian's just been farming so far. He's going back to buy, so let's keep an eye on what's going on up top here as I go back here. So Speaker's going to initiate. He initiated a little bit early, going in with his ultimate, with his ignite. So now we come in, you can see how low Vlad is. I'm going to pop more gold, and that was an easy kill. That was a situation where Vlad was on like 100 health, and I didn't want to try to risk hitting a Dark Binding. I was just going to walk up and pop my ult. So there we go. So we're able to score another kill there, and that's going to help Speaker out. Speaker is already ahead, but that's going to put him in better shape. 61 minion kills to 42 for ZXWCD. And down there, or up there in the top lane. And I'm going to head back to lane. Alright, so here, Zombie Brian has gone. He's picked up the Madrid's Razor. It looked like he sold that cloth armor, so I have to feel like that was an accidental pickup. He's waiting for Wriggles. He needs 150 gold, and then it will pop up. There it is. So there's his Wriggles. Okay, I have to feel like that cloth armor was an accidental purchase. I'm pretty sure he wanted a longsword there, and ended up picking up the extra cloth armor by mistake. Anyway, Team CV's spots bottom lane heading up to mid, so that's nicely done, and that's going to allow me to walk out of there with no trouble. We've got a ping on Dragon, but I don't think that they're actually going to be doing Dragon. I don't think that they're actually doing this. In any case, we can come check it out. We know the Free Wriggles word, and indeed, they're not doing Dragon, so we're okay. Pings are coming out. I think that we decided that we had champs here to go for this, and I was sort of like, at the time, I was like, this is a little bit risky, guys. I don't know if this is the best decision necessarily. But we were all here, so we decided to go for it. Again, notice that I'm missing this farm in mid. So this is, this is not a safe dragon by any means. Anyway, it is quite low. Can we get the smite off? Can we get this dragon? Yes, we are going to take the dragon on the smite. However, Karthus has fallen. Taric has fallen. Zombie Brian going to leap out over the back. So we go 2 deaths in exchange for dragon, usually considered to be an even exchange. Still, that really wasn't a good decision overall. That was us forcing something that wasn't really there. Their team likely had it warded. I mean, they all reacted to us going there. So we really needed either to score a kill on them or, put down a pink ward or something. So we were able to take that dragon, but it wasn't really a good play for us. It would have been better to, wait until we had some kind of an advantage, until their jungler was in top lane, or until, we had scored a kill on them, or at least had a pink ward to let them know that, to be in a situation where they couldn't just see us setting up for it. So, like I said, that wasn't the best play on our part. I mean, again, two kills for Dragon considered even, but I missed out on a lot of farm in mid while that was going on. If you check my minion score, I'm on 87. Well, I would be around 100 if I had just stayed in lane during that time. So again, missed out on quite a bit. Anyway, Varus Nox also has 2 kills, 2 assists, 83 CS, so he is doing quite well for himself in bottom lane. And we'll have to see. Our efforts at this point meant we had to try to rein him in. Notice the word from Speaker, catching their Mundo player, Demigods, and preventing that gank. So we know that their jungler's not down here, so we can look to do, maybe try to do something here in bottom lane. Unfortunately, I think that they spotted Zombie Brian. One thing I would say, sort of a criticism of this game would be, is that Zombie Brian is probably spending a little too much time ganking and not enough time farming. Shyvana should definitely be above level 6 at the 13-minute mark. That's pretty far behind, actually, in terms of how Shyvana usually runs through and clears her jungle. However, notice Zombie Brian does have a good call here. He says Mundo's coming. He says Mundo's going to come for this red buff. Let's be ready to, fight him when he comes in for this red. And look, indeed, verily, here they come. Here comes a Ponecat. Here comes Varus Nox. And again, all spotted by this ward that Zombie Brian I think Zombie Brian just put that down. Yes, he just put it down. So we knew that he said they're coming to invade. Let's be ready. Let's get ready to counter invade. So now we have 4. They have 3. We have a clear numbers advantage right here. So I'm going to go in. There's the binding. Here comes the Morg ult. 1 champion going to fall. 2 champions going to fall. And now we just chasing after Varus Nox here. Needs to try to escape. Zombie Brian is doing the right thing. He's popped his ultimate. He's sticking to Varus. And now watch this. I'm going to get off a nice binding right there to polish off the kill. But Zombie Brian doing the right thing. What Shyvana wants to do is jump on the carry in a fight. Just stick to them. Don't let them get away. Again, all of her abilities gain all of her skills gain an extra ability when in dragon form. So again, if you notice, I'll highlight them. Dragon form, Twin Bite cleaves all units in front of Shyvana. Burnout scorches the earth. It leaves a fire trail on the ground. And then Flame Breath is just much more useful. Engulfs all units in a cone in front of her. So, again, basically the same as before, but they all just have a little additional effect. So that was really well played. Again, like I said, Zombie Brian was a little bit behind in his clear. A little bit slow. Also, he hasn't made any move to counter-invade the jungle, which actually does make sense in this matchup. He's against Mundo, so Mundo's a difficult champ to counter-invade against, invade the jungle. So, I mean, that definitely is part of it. But the play there was really nice, recognizing, he said, you know, they're going to come, they're going to try to steal, they're going to try to invade, dump down the ward, and then our team was just ready to fight them. We fought 4v3 there, and really came out on top. Anyway, right here, going to land the binding on Wind Dragon. So, I'm not going to go in for the kill. Why is that? Well, I don't have Flash. I didn't have my ult up. I didn't have Ignite up. From that last fight. That's why I didn't go for it. Anyway, up here, Demigods is invading on Speaker. Speaker's going to ignite and ult him on the tower, and that's going to be enough to take that kill. So that was a really nice play on Speaker's Lane Wick build. Again, Mundo running in under the tower. As soon as he took tower aggression, Speaker used his ult, used Ignite, just jumped on him, and that was enough to get the kill. I was running up there to see if we could kill Vlad, but he backed as soon as I started walking up there, and I'm pretty sure that he had a ward somewhere on the river, enough to see me coming. So with those last couple plays, we're in very good shape right now. We are ahead 8-4 in kills. We're ahead in farm as well. Their bottom lane is still crushing our bottom lane. Their bottom lane is still way, way ahead. Uh-oh, Ambi is in trouble. I was just placing a ward. Is he going to be able to get out of this? They're chasing. I believe that he is going to escape out of this. We saw the Yorick ult coming out, getting the little ghost of Twitch for some extra damage, but not quite enough in order to get the kill onto our support Taric right there. Anyway, Zombie Brian did go and take their red buff while that was going on. So now that he's ahead of Mundo, again, notice 103 with 69 minion kills against 030, 57 minion kills. Now he's ahead of Mundo, and now he can be a lot more aggressive about looking to counter jungle against their team. Anyway, we see Mundo. Our ward coverage has been pretty good throughout this game. We see Mundo coming in, so we were trying to look to go after Mundo. We thought he was going to be going to this Wraith camp, but instead he backs off and heads down the bottom lane. So we were trying to set up to kill him at the Wraith camp, but he did in fact back off instead. Now we're pretty sure Mundo's coming down here, trying to gank bottom lane. So we're going to look to try and see if we can do something down there. You see Zombie Brian heading down here, coming in and looking to see what he can do. Mundo, we've just really had good vision on him throughout this game. Our wards have let us know where he is, so he just hasn't really had much success in terms of trying to gank lanes and trying to get kills. And he actually, I mean, his farm isn't bad, but it could certainly be better. Anyway, here they go. We got a fight coming out here. We have the Karthus wall doing a nice job of blocking off their team. A Pomecat is going to walk through it. There's the Dragon's Descent leaping on top of them. There is the Flame Breath onto a Pomecat, but they just don't have the damage down here in bottom lane to try to get this kill. So a nice attempt there, but again, like I said, bottom lane behind, bottom lane not having an AD definitely hurts them and makes it so they can't really pick up kills in that situation. So, nice idea, but just not able to score, not able to finish that off there. Anyway, right there, I hit Wind Dragon on a Dark Binding. I'm going to run in, use my ult, use my Ignite. That's going to get the kill, and then going to turn on Black Shield so I can walk right through his Event Horizon stun. And of course, at this point, I'm just really far ahead of Wind Dragon in mid. So they're able to get that. There is a fight going on down here in bottom lane. Our team has gone back in. Varus is going to flash over that Karthus wall. A Pomecat is low. Is this Karthus ult going to be able to score a kill? No! Taking them both very low, but Zombie Brian's going to get one kill. Not quite enough to finish off Twitch right there. So 1 for 1 in bottom lane. Looks like Zombie Brian stuck around in bottom lane, and they're able to reinitiate that fight. Well, there's some leftover from Yorick ult. Some leftover particle there. That's kind of weird. Very, very weird. It might be something to do with the replay client. Anyway, Speaker has taken his tower in top lane. He's quite a bit ahead, 129 minion kills to 89 for ZXWCD in top lane. So he is definitely ahead up there. So as far as what Zombie Brian's building now, he has picked up the Phage. Again, Phage into Frozen Mount is a very standard build on Shyvana because she gets armor and magic resist from her ultimate. You generally tend to build a little bit more armor, a little bit more health on her, excuse me, because you get passive armor and magic resist just from her abilities. So again, I'm assuming this will be a Frozen Mallet eventually. Health, attack damage, pretty standard. Shyvana she deals a mixture of magic and physical damage. Her burnout is magic damage. And note that Burnout's been maxed first, and Twin Bite's going to be maxed second, so as I was pretty sure would happen. And then going for Merc Treads here with the other item. One little thing, though, I have seen a lot of Shyvana players go for move to boots a little bit sooner, oftentimes, just because Shyvana is a champ that relies a lot on movement speed and being able to run around the map. So that is a possible thing that people could look to do when playing as Shyvana, is possibly move up the boots 2 a little bit sooner. But Wriggles is fairly standard. People usually build Wriggles on Jungle Shyvana, not always, but it's fairly standard. And then Phage into Frozen Mallet is pretty normal for this particular build. Now, we have had Speaker come down from top lane, so we're looking to go and do Dragon here. I was able to take that tower in mid. It was quite low from being pushed so much. We were looking to try to go after Wind Dragon right there, but he was able to back off. Still, we have our top lane down here. Right here right here we see Mundo coming in. Speaker going to use his ultimate. Zombie Brian is going to jump in, and that Dragon's Descent is going to pull off the kill. So again, Mundo just being in the wrong place at the wrong time, and with Mundo dead and 5 of us down here, we have a free Dragon here, so that's just up for grabs. If anything, Speaker could go back to top right now because top's being pushed. He probably doesn't even need to stick around, but in any case, we're going to grab this Dragon, and that's going to put us further ahead. And unfortunately, Mundo, Demigod's playing Mundo, just having a little bit of a rough game here. He's fallen pretty far behind, and that means that we can now invade their jungle with a lot of impunity. We were looking to see if we could score their blue, but it was already down. One downside was we did lose this tower. If we had coordinated a little bit better, we could have prevented them from getting this tower in top. And again, that's again, this is a little bit more of a solo queue type environment. Speaker and I are used to playing together, but not so much with a lot of these other players. Anyway, right there, Pwnekat's going to get binded. This tower is very low. I can't remember if we're looking to fight this or not. I believe we were just not really looking to fight this, but we'll see what happens. Right there, I'm going to use my ult. I'm going to ignite Twitch. He is going to fall. Pwnekat's going to flash. He's still going to get hit by the binding. Is someone going to be able to finish this off? He's very, very low, but he's going to heal off of that minion. Your Gravedigger does have his ultimate up. Is that going to be enough to kill a Pwneket? And no, it's not, as he heals right at the last second. Don't think that would have finished him off anyway. Demigods is coming in down here, so we have another fight going on. I'm going to come in. I'm going to hit the binding on Demigods. And right here, I'm going to put on Black Shield. And that's going to protect me from Mundo's Burning Magazine and his Cleavers, which are both magic damage. So Demigod's getting a little overly aggressive. I don't really think he could have killed anyone there. Perhaps Karthus, but not quite. So anyway, we're in very good shape now. Now at this point, we've really snowballed ahead, and now Zombie Brian going in again, using his burnout. He has red buff, so he's slowing a Pwneket right there. His ult is back up, and he's going to pull off that kill. So nicely played right there. Again, red buff on Shyvana makes her significantly scarier because you can just use your burnout, stick on whoever you're trying to chase down, and you just keep auto-attacking them, applying that red buff slow over and over again. And again, auto-attack, Twin Bite for an extra auto-attack. You can go auto-attack, Q, auto-attack, and as long as you have red buff, you're continuing to slow them with each auto-attack. So Zombie Brian in a really strong position right now. He's just about to hit 100 CS. This is pretty solid for a jungler. Again, maybe a touch low for Shyvana. You could be a little bit higher. You might be around like 120, but this is still very, very solid. Now he's gone for the Merc Treads and maybe a Giant's Belt. Either that or he's going for either that or Wit's End. So okay, here's the Wit's End then, which is another solid call. Wit's End is a core item to Shyvana's build as well, so a good choice there. So he is pretty fed 404 overall in this particular game, in a very strong position, and just reaching sort of that point where he can just dive into the middle of the enemy team and be really, really safe. Just due to how much health he has and how tanky he is. Does need to get a little bit more health, though, I think. Needs to get a Giant's Belt at some point. So when he goes into Dragon form, he'll get an extra 15 armor and 15 MR, just due to the passive off of his skills right there. Anyway, so at this point, again, looking at the game, we're in really comfortable shape. Our mid and our top are way ahead in farm. Our bottom lane is still losing pretty badly, but we've been able to keep Twitch from, sort of getting more kills. He started out 2-0-2, and we've been able to keep Varus Nox from getting too many more kills as Twitch. We've been very aggressively ganking that lane. and you know, trying to do what we can to shut them down, since this is the lane that was way ahead. There goes down the tower right here. Are Karthus and Karthus and Tart going to be okay here? Looks like they will be able to make it back to the tower. Again, we'll see. Over here on the river, we're going to catch out. We're going to catch out Mundo once again. He's going to get stunned by my ult, and Speaker is going to finish him off with that Q. Now we're going to look to turn and try to catch Aponcat here, and Aponcat is in trouble, but here he's trying to juke us out, and he is going to juke right there, going to juke the Dark Binding again. Then he's going to continue chasing away, using his ghouls to try to slow us down, and that was a pretty nice escape right there, I have to say, but I still have a chance to catch him again in a Dark Binding, and nope! Going to juke us again right there, doing a great job. However, the Karthus wall is going to slow him, and here comes Zombie Brian, who is up in their jungle. So is Aponcat going to make it out? Is he going to be able to escape? No, he's not, and that's kind of sad, because he really had some nice jukes there, dodging my Dark Bindings. But again, our entire team showed up, and there just wasn't a whole lot he could do right there. So we have 5 here, and we're going to look to push on this tower. We just have one real weakness. We don't have an AD on our team, which makes it really hard to push towers. Oh, and look, notice we all get stunned by the Event Horizon, all 5 of us. That's pretty funny. Speaker, though, is going to initiate with his ultimate, and this is quite dangerous. Going in right there. Zombie Brian taking some damage. I put my black shield on him to protect him a little bit. Vlad did get off an ult on us. Now, we just really need to take this tower, because we're not going to be able to advance in further. Ambi is going to get killed by Varus Nox, so Tarek going to fall to Twitch right there. A little bit unnecessary. That we did not play that as well as we could have. But again, one of the issues is we don't have an AD on our team. We don't really have anyone who can poke at towers. So in a situation where we're sieging up at a tower, we actually are not in great shape. We really do need to fight them out in the open, in a place where my ultimate as Morgana can, you know, catch all of them, and Speaker can pick someone off, that sort of thing. Our team does have pretty good initiations. We have Shyvana to dive in for an initiation. We have, you know, we have the Karthus wall. We have Morgana's Dark Binding. So we have some pretty good initiations. Now their team, again, the biggest danger right now would be their team just rushing Baron. And we see that there's quite a few of them around Baron. This is actually a pretty good call on their part, which is, hey, their whole team just went back to heal and buy. Our team's really far behind. You know, maybe we should, you know, maybe we can make a play happen, you know, just rush Baron. Again, it would be a very high risk, high reward play. But when you're behind, you need to take risks to try to get back in the game. However, it looks like they didn't choose to go for that ultimate. It looks like they chose to back off and not try to force this Baron. Again, probably the right idea, and just suggesting that, you know, when you're behind, you can go for stuff that's more aggressive, just because if you don't do something to change the game, you're going to lose. We don't have an Oracle right now, which is a little bit of an issue, because if we had an Oracle, we could be much more aggressive about forcing this Baron, but we don't have one, so we don't have the ability to clear out wards on their team, and so that's going to make it a little bit more difficult for us to try to set up. Anyway, though, match clearly leaning in our favor, 16-6 in kills. I'm having a strong Morgana game. One little note here, why did I go for Zanya's Hourglass first? Well, the main reason I went for Zanya's Hourglass is I looked at their team and I was like, who's dangerous on their team? Well, it's pretty much Twitch more than anyone. I know they have double AP team comp, but Twitch is the one who's really the most dangerous here. Poncat was coming in trying to steal this blue buff, and here's Varus Nox as well, so they are on top of me. I'm going to use that black shield, going to use my Zanya's Hourglass right there, so Zanya's is going to save my bacon right there and keep me alive. Zombie Brian going to dive in. I'm continuing to retreat back to the tower. Poncat taking a lot of damage. Speaker using his ult on Varus Nox. We actually killed the clone a minute ago, the zombie from Yorick Ultimate. Now we're chasing after Poncat. He is taking a lot of damage right here. He just needs one more hit to finish him off, but that was a nice Event Horizon stun by Veigar right here. I'm going to toss my shield onto Zombie Brian. That Karthus ult will finish off Poncat, and now they're chasing after the Vlad player, and again, this is where Shyvana excels. Shyvana and Warwick both excel. There is the Blood Scent. There is the Burnout chasing after him, and that's going to make for a pretty easy kill. So now with 3 of them dead, we should be clear to try to take this Baron without any real issue. Now what the enemy team did there was quite clever. They obviously had a ward at blue, and they were setting up to kill me when I went to take my blue. You notice that Yorick jumped on top of me, Twitch de-stealthed and jumped on top of me, and they would have killed me there except that I had the Zanya's Hourglass, and I was able to use the active right there as soon as they you know, were trying to kill me. And fortunately, Zombie Brian was able to jump in, Speaker was able to jump in, and we were able to turn that around, and we're able to protect it. Now we just need to get the smite there, and nicely done by Zombie Brian, able to clear the smite. So again, 407, and now Demigods is hanging around here. Speaker's going to ult him, and I'm going to shoot my Dark Binding over the wall, and that's going to be a kill. We had the ward there. He was trying to clear the ward, and that allowed us to get the kill. Again, Infinite Duress from Warwick does allow you to jump over walls when you pop the active, when you use it, and when he's locked in place like that, it's very easy for me to hit a Dark Binding as Morgana. So we have a little bit of synergy between these two champs. Anyway, we're looking to push right now because we just got Baron. Unfortunately, Zombie Brian is not quite with us at the moment. He really should be with us if we're going to push this. And that is not a particularly good Vhagar Event Horizon stun. Unfortunately, I missed the Dark Binding. Would have been a kill if we had gotten that. So, again, we really could use Shyvana. Here she comes. So we're looking, again, to go for this tower. But like I said, our weakness of our team is we are not good in a siege situation. However, I am going to hit Pomecat I'm going to hit him in a Dark Binding jump. Zombie Brian dashing in. I did use Zanya's Hourglass once again. We're taking a lot of damage from this tower. Speaker picks up another kill. Chasing after Wind Dragon up there. Speaker's getting exhausted. Probably needs to flash over the wall here or do something to that effect. I took a lot of damage from tower initially, so I'm trying to play defensive. Speaker and Zombie Brian are just unkillable tanks in front of our team, or all but unkillable. We'll see how crazy they get about diving this. So Speaker taking another tower shot. And at this point, we do need to finish off this tower. Wind Dragon coming after me. I'm on one hit. Can he kill me? Gonna juke into the brush right here so he can't see me. He's gonna use his Dark Matter, but it's going to miss. Now Speaker chasing him down, and Speaker's gonna grab that one. So yes, I do manage to avoid dying there by running in and out of the brush, and with a little bit of help from my friends there. So we did lose Tarek in all of that, but we haven't quite gotten this tower. Again, we really do want to get the tower while we're in a situation where we can take it with several members of their team being down. But we are going to be able to get that. Not really safe to take the inhib, so we are going to back out. But that was a very successful push. Again, the only one that we lost there was Tarek, and we were able to score a couple kills, take that tower, and just continue snowballing further ahead in this match. So this is now two different times where Zanya's Hourglass has saved me from dying. So for Morgana players out there, I really do suggest picking up the Hourglass over Deathcap in most situations. It just makes it so much more difficult for the enemy team to kill you. And yes, the extra AP from Deathcap is great. You definitely do a lot more damage with Deathcap, but the Hourglass has already saved my life, I think, twice in this game. Speaker is taking Dragon. I'm heading back to farm in top lane. Zombie Brian is continuing taking our reds, and it's either him or Warwick. I would suggest that Shyvana is actually the better choice to get red buff on our particular team, just because Warwick has Blood Scent and he can chase people down without needing red, whereas Zombie Brian playing as Shyvana really does benefit quite a bit from being able to stick on people with that red buff. Anyway, Frozen Mallet coming out. There's the extra health. That really makes a difference. Going from 2,000 health to 2,700 health, a huge difference right there. Also going for the Wit's End, not quite enough to get it. Would have had it at the old cost, but they did increase the cost in a recent patch. So not quite enough to get it. Gonna have to wait and go back to get it later on. Their team did respond with a nice sort of minor play there, but a nice decision. Just while we're all back and buying, they go and take our mid tower and just go and pick that up. Now we do have an exposed inhib, so it makes perfect sense that we should chase after this. I have double potted. I finished the Deathcap and double potted. I was hoping that we'd be able to finish the game on this push, and that therefore I could just double pot in this fight, that we'd be able to take inhib, and that we'd just be able to finish off the match from there. So that was my hope, at least, anyway. We did spot someone over here, I think. If I believe that people are spotting, so that they spotted someone. Nope, actually not anyone over there. So perhaps a little bit out of sorts there. Speaker is going to initiate this fight, but Speaker is going in maybe just a touch too soon before the rest of us get there. We actually get wrecked pretty badly by that Event Horizon stun. Zombie Brian going to jump into the middle of the enemy team. We're taking a lot of damage. I'm trying to get into this fight a little bit behind the team. Morgana ult coming out, hitting several members of the team. We are going to lose Shyvana right there. We are going to ignite Mundo. Now, can I hit the Dark Binding on him and finish him off? No, unfortunately. I missed the Dark Binding, and so we're actually going to end up going 3 for 2 in that fight. We did come out ahead, but it was a little bit sloppy of a fight. I thought that we went in just a little bit too early. I thought that maybe we should have waited just a hair. I was just slightly behind that fight and not quite able to get off my ult. I only hit like 2 members of their team, and then I also missed Mundo with my Dark Binding there at the end. So it wasn't the best fight that we've done. And unfortunately, with Zombie Brian and Speaker both being killed in that fight, we just don't have the personnel here to finish off the game. So we're going to have to retreat. We're going to look to go back, take buffs, that sort of thing. Our blue's up. Their red may be up. I'm not exactly sure if it is or not. But we're going to need to go back and probably have to take another Baron before we can finish this one off. Anyway, there is the Wit's End. There is the Frozen Mallet. So this is, again, sort of a core Shyvana build, getting Wriggles, Frozen Melt and Wit's End. Usually some items somewhere along these lines considered to be the core items on Shyvana. So this is a nice example of sort of a typical Shyvana build. Anyway, we just, we did get minions pushed over the bottom turret there, so we want to look to take these 2 outer turrets. We, unless we catch them out of their base, we can't just break the 2 Nexus turrets. We probably need to take the side turrets before we can do that. I'm going to grab blue here, and yeah, I still got the double pot, so I have a lot of ability power right now. I do a lot of damage with my skills, and Speaker and Zombie Brian are very tanky, so we're not getting that much from Gravedigger and Tarek. Again, Karthus really not meant to be played in a duo lane, so they're not quite as farmed as the rest of us, but chipping in where they can. We do see that Varus Nox is in bottom lane, so that's our signal to go for top lane, and I'm going to miss another Dark Binding on a Pwncat. Then he's going to flash over the wall and make his escape once again. So he's really been juking my Dark Binding, and then Speaker's going to go in, and now unfortunately, I'm just a little bit slow on that binding, so we did not coordinate nearly as well as we could have down there. So again, a mistake. Again, I was just a little bit too far away, but I am going to hit Wind Dragon, and he's going to fall instantly to my ult. There's the Zanya's Hourglass coming out again. Zombie Brian going to leap over and pick off that kill. Demigods and a Pwncat running away. Meanwhile, Varus Nox is split pushing down here, taking down this tower. Ambi is somewhere else, so I'm not exactly sure what he's doing there. So what I did was, I thought that Varus was going to push our inhib, so I recalled back to base. I thought that he was going to push and try to take our inhib. In fact, Varus, though, actually going to back here to try to defend their base, and so that means that my recall is a bit of a mistake, because now I'm stuck down here, out of position, while Varus Nox is going to show up here at the tower, and I'm not here. So again, in retrospect, a pretty serious mistake, but I thought that Varus was going to continue pushing. As it is, now Varus is here, and he's safe. Notice how no one is attacking him. He is doing by far the most damage on their team. Zombie Brian has been ignited. Is he going to survive this poison? 21 HP, going to make it out of there. Speaker diving the tower against the enemy team. Speaker going to ignite Varus. Who is going to get this kill? There is the exhaust coming out from Varus Nox. So once again, we have a nice little duel going on here. There's the Q coming out from Speaker, and Warwick proves to be too strong, just barely running out of that Vagar Event Horizon stun. So Zombie Brian going to survive again, just barely, with 12 HP. Like you said, I saw it got down to 20. I guess it went down a little bit lower than that, and Speaker was able to polish off that kill. So 11-0-10, 11-1-8, and 7-1-13. Really, the 3 of us are having very strong games here. And again, that was my mistake. We almost certainly would have ended the game if I had been with the rest of the team there on that push. But as it was, we did still go 3 for 2. We got their tower and exposed another inhib. So at this point now, Baron is back up. Note the ping's coming out. At this point, we need to group up. We need to group up, look to take Baron, and then look to finish off the match from there. And we should be able to do that, because the only one on their team who's at all scary is Varus Nox. He does have Infinity Edge Phantom Dancer, so he is not someone we can just ignore. But the rest of their team is pretty underfarmed. Wind Dragon is 0-6, Demigods is 1-8. ZXWCD is 1-3. He does have Will of the Ancients and Rylai, so not that bad, but until he gets a death cap, he's not sort of that scary on his own. Anyway, there is their team coming out. We see the ward. Does any of us have an Oracle? No, I don't believe so. So we do have to make sure that we get this. Their team is coming out the challenge. We can see from that ward in their, or minions in their base, that they're coming out the challenge. But we would have to miss a smite, and we're not going to miss it. Nice job there. So now we're going to look to come in and chase these guys and have another fight right here. So keep an eye on this. Oh, wow, we all walk into the Event Horizon stun. But keep an eye on Speaker in this fight. Zombie Brian going to initiate, doing exactly what he should, tanking a lot of that damage. I'm going to go in, use Morgana Ultimate. Speaker gets 1 kill on Vagar, and then Speaker's going to get another kill on the Yorick. Meanwhile, we're going to see more people on our side fall, but keep your eye on Speaker. There's another kill onto Vlad, another kill onto Mundo, and the pentakill coming out. So yes, 5 kills for Warwick in that fight. So we did lose Zombie Brian, we did lose Karthus, but wow, a pentakill coming out. Speaker got all 5 kills in that fight, and as Zombie Brian said, worth my life, absolutely. So that is going to be it. There's the surrender vote coming out, and we would finish the base in another 10 seconds anyway. So good game to everyone on their team. Nicely played Shyvana game, and we wrap it all up with a Warwick pentakill right as the game comes to a close. So hope you guys enjoyed that one. Anyway, we'll wrap this one up, have some final thoughts, and look at the stats. Alright, you can see how everybody wrapped up here on this final screen. I had a strong game as Morgana, Speaker had a strong game as Warwick, and Zombie Brian had a very strong game as well as Jungle Shyvana. I know that he did die in the last two team fights, but he did exactly what he was supposed to do. Dive into the middle of the team, spread destruction about on all sides, and just try to stick on their enemy team's carry as much as possible, that being Twitch in this situation. So nicely done. And we had some solid contributions from the other members of our team as well, despite the sort of weird champion composition that we had down there in bottom lane. Now, on the other team, Varus Nox and Aponecat played very strong in this game as well. They dominated bottom lane. They definitively came out ahead down there in the bottom lane. And in fact, if you look at the two of them, they had nearly all of the kills on their team. Varus actually had 6 kills and 8 assists on 14 total kills for their team, so that was pretty impressive. Unfortunately for them, even though they won bottom lane very decisively, their team lost top, their team lost mid, and their team lost in jungle, and there's just not a whole lot you can do in that situation. But kudos to them for playing well, and also for going on the other side to try and help balance out our teams and get a bit of a fairer match. Anyway, going to stop here. Once again, thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this game. Zombie Brian does have a YouTube channel that I'll link in the description underneath this video if you want to go check it out and see some more League of Legends and some Minecraft content there. Feel free to go check it out. Anyway, once again, hope you guys enjoyed this. Thanks for watching. Have a great weekend. I'll see you again next week.